Hi, I'm Dana, and welcome to episode 4 of Learning to be Autistic. If this is your first time finding me or my channel or this series, I'll link episode 1 up in one of those corners somewhere, it'll be there. This week I really wanted to talk about autism as a disability, because it seems like quite a hot topic in the autism community a lot of the time, and I feel like every autistic person and every disabled person that talks about the topic has a slightly different opinion and different view, which is entirely valid. It's a very personal subject. And I just wanted to put my opinion and my thoughts out there and how I feel about it personally. So I do want to make very, very clear that this is just my opinion. It's just me. This isn't the standing of the autism community. I'm not speaking for any community or people or whatever. It's purely me and my opinion. I got my autism diagnosis at 21, so I'd gone my entire life without any form of disability. I don't have anything physical going on. I had mental health issues on and off throughout my entire life, mostly on, but nothing that would be considered a disability up until I found out that I was autistic. And by law, from what I've been able to read, I'm not the smartest person, I'll be honest with you, but from what I've read online, legally, autism does count as a disability. So if you are autistic, you do technically have a disability. But having a disability, I think, is very different from considering yourself to be disabled. However, I do personally consider myself to be disabled due to my autism. To me, being disabled means that you need accommodations to be able to live a life where you're comfortable and happy, whether that's physical accommodations like being able to access places, or whether that's accommodations like, hey, can you give me a phone call before you ring me? Can you turn off the lights when I'm in the room? Things like that. To me, being disabled is having something going on, whether that's mentally or physically, that means that you either need accommodations or you have struggles that accommodations can't be placed for. For a lot of people, when we think of a disabled person, we automatically think about someone in a wheelchair. So their accommodations and struggles are that they need to be able to access places, there needs to be ramps instead of stairs, there needs to be an elevator instead of a set of escalators or whatever. That's their accommodations. And it's trickier with autism because there's accommodations that could be in place to make my life easier, but they don't get put in place, or when they do, they get put in place in such an ableist way that it may as well not have happened anyway. For example, my local supermarket does a quiet autism hour thing on a Sunday morning between 8 and 9 a.m, where if you're an autistic person or someone else that has sensory difficulties, you can go in and shop with a lot less people, I think lower lighting and less noise, the radio's not on and things like that. And I'm okay, so I would much rather shop in that environment. You've gotten that spot on. I have executive dysfunction. I struggle to sleep a lot. I struggle to wake up, and you want me to be getting up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday so I'm ready for when you open for that. It's inaccessible. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to play this as oh, my disability's worse than that disability. I think that all disabilities are equal in that we're all struggling. It's just different things that we're struggling with. And with invisible disabilities and invisible illnesses as well, we so often just get shoved to the side because it's not obvious. People don't see the struggle that's happening, especially with autism. People might see me crying in the supermarket, but I'm just a girl crying in the supermarket. They don't see that it's because of all the noise and everything being so overwhelming. Whereas if you see a person in a wheelchair sat in front of a flight of stairs, you know what their damn issue is. So that's sort of my view on what disability is. Obviously, there's a lot of different facets to it, and I'm never going to tell someone they're not disabled if they say they are. It's not my place to judge. It's, like I say, it's a very personal subject, I think. It's really up for the decision of the person being spoken about. Which means that although not every autistic person considers themselves to be disabled, I very much do consider myself to be disabled. And not in the way of I'm disabled, but it feels more so that society and culture that we have as people is very inaccessible to me to the point where it disables me. Not understanding social cues and facial expressions has, in my view, meant that I've been really taken advantage of and kind of screwed over in a lot of situations, because people can be straight up laughing at me and I don't always realise it. And I think that sounds oh, well, that's sad as shit that you've had that happen, but it's not disabling. Okay, but what about when it's in an interview and they've asked a question that I've misunderstood and started my answer, and they're sat there struggling to keep a straight face, and I haven't cottoned onto it entirely, so I'm still talking with my answer that doesn't relate to the question at all. It's very disabling. It makes the and that's a job interview. That means that I can't even get past the point of the interview I find it incredibly difficult to get jobs because I really can't do the interview process. The job that I've had for the longest did not have an interview process. I literally messaged them on Instagram and was like, can I work for you? You look really cool. It wasn't, I screwed up. But there was no interview process. The next job I'm hopefully going to be involved in has come about from contacts that I made at the last job. So there was no interview process there. They just sort of got to know me as a person. So like, oh, she can do X, Y, Z. She'll be good for like this and this and this. So it's not impossible, but I horrifically struggle to get like a normal job. I've applied to Tesco like 15 times. I've applied to McDonald's a whole bunch of times. And they have the questionnaires that you fill out as part of the job interview. That's the part I don't get past. I can't even like decipher these questions enough to be able to get to the interview. And outside of the big things, because obviously job interviews aren't popping up left, right and centre for me all the time, even just little daily tasks like every single day when I leave my house, I have to go through the house. I have to check every window, every door. I have to check that my cooker's off. I have to check that things are unplugged or turned off at the wall. And even then, I'm absolutely shitting it that like my house is going to burn down, there's going to be an electrical fault, something will happen to the cats, someone's going to break in. That's one of my big ones. I'm terrified of someone breaking in. So by the time I've gotten to my front door, I'm already like sort of disabled by my own brain. And then I leave my house and I have to stand there and like check multiple times that my front door's locked, because otherwise I'm convinced someone's gonna just walk in and my cats are gonna get out and they're gonna like rob me and take all my stuff. And then once I'm outside, I'm thinking like, oh God, all my neighbours must think that I'm so weird because they see me like checking my door a million fucking times. And then while I'm walking up the road, it's a little bit uneven and then I trip because I don't have the best balance, so I struggle to pay attention to where I'm walking. And then it's too bright and I'm like really squinty, even though no one else seems to like see how goddamn bright it is. It's really bright and no one seems to care, and I'm like struggling to keep my eyes open because they're like burning, you know. And that's literally in the 5 minutes it's taken me to leave my house. Imagine the rest of my day. Imagine going shopping, imagine going into a workplace, imagine having social interactions with people. It's all an absolute nightmare, like near enough all the time. Social situations especially, I feel like incredibly disabled in, because, you know, people stand in groups, people are friends with each other, and if there's a group of people, which there always is at a social event, I have no idea how to like break into that group and become a part of it. A lot of it is me excluding myself really more so than other people, because I know that I'm not going to understand everything. I know that I'm going to like miss a social cue or not get a joke, or like something's going to happen where suddenly everyone's looking at me. I don't know what the fuck I've done. Even when it comes to things like I'm trying to get my vaccine right now. I really want to be vaccinated. I'm very, very anxious about the whole pandemic going on, you know. I can't figure out how to get my vaccination. People say things like Google it, and I have. My doctor's like surgery that I go to isn't doing it. So I need to either like book in somewhere or go to one of these like walk-in centres. I can't find the place where you're meant to like book in. And looking up the walk-in centres, it's literally like the closest one to me is in a university, and it's a huge university. And all it says is that it's there. And it's like, okay, but which part? There's like 4 entrances to this university. It's really, I don't know what to expect when I'm getting there, and that's really difficult as someone with autism. I have no idea what I'm supposed to expect when I'm there. I don't know which entrance I'm going to. I don't know which part of the university it's in. I don't know how long I'll be waiting there. And I've got no issue with waiting. I will sit there for 3 hours if you need me to. But I want to know if I'm going to be waiting, you know? I want to know where I need to go. I want to know what the process will be, and none of it's there. None of it's available. And, you know, this isn't something I can just not do. So I'm gonna have to figure it out. I'm gonna have to just like go down and show up and be like, somebody help me please. But it's really difficult, and it's times like that where it's like, you can tell me all you want that I have high functioning autism. I don't feel that high functioning when I'm stood somewhere crying because I don't know what the fuck to do. And I have realised over the time that so much of my autism is that when I'm out like in the real world and in social interactions and just trying to live my life, I look around and everyone else seems to like more or less know what they need to do next. They know where they're going, they know where they're going to show up, they know who they're talking to, they know what's going on. And I'm looking around, I'm just like, God, I have no idea what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know who to speak to. I don't know where to go. Even when I've got like a task at hand, I don't know what to do. And I will give that, I think some of that's just my own anxiety. I don't think it's all that I'm autistic. Some of it's definitely my anxiety. But I've said before that I don't think I'd have anxiety if I wasn't autistic, or at least not the level of anxiety that I do. Because being autistic's led to all of these like horrible social interactions and everything else that's made me anxious about them, because that's what happens. There's just so many parts of life that no one seems to explain because everyone else just intuitively picks up on it. Like train stations. I quite often, back before the days we're in now, used to go to like Manchester and places on my own, which the idea of doing that now terrifies me, and I'm supposed to be doing it again soon. And but at Chester, where I needed to change trains, they just have this big board of like, this train is stopping at this station. And it's like, okay, but I'm getting off before the end station, and you're only telling me the end station, so I have no idea which of these trains I'm supposed to be getting. You're telling me which platform number it is, but there's nowhere here to tell me what platform's which. I have no idea what's happening. I've been staring at this board for like 15 minutes. My train's meant to be here in 2. And yet everyone else just glances at it and like shuffles off to where they're going. I'm just like, were you born in this train station? Like, is this... I don't understand how you just know where to go and what to do and which train to get on. Like, I think you can tell that I'm getting frustrated talking about this, because a lot of things, honestly, I do just push to the back of my mind. I'm just like, think positively. Most things are okay. Like, most things in my life are really good. So the rest of it, I'll just push to the back of my mind. But it's all still there all the time. You know, no one wants to sit down and just be like,
my life's so hard. I struggle with everything.
But I also sort of do. Like, I don't want to say my life's hard, because there's lots of people out there that have it harder in some way, and there's lots of people that have it easier, and it's just the balance of life, you know. It's not that I think my life's harder than other people's, but I think that life's hard, and some of us struggle more than others. And I definitely struggle a lot of the time, and it's tough. And I too am very tough. So I'm going to deal with it and grow as a person and do scary things and put myself out of my comfort zone for the sake of doing things that I want to do. But that doesn't make it any less difficult. And especially when I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone into like social interactions, which then end badly anyway, it does feel like, what's the damn point? Why is life so hard? When will somebody understand me? I think I feel almost like there's this top layer of like visible autism that I have, that like employers and social people that I'm talking to and all that kind of thing see, where I come across like I really can't do a lot of things, and like things are very, very difficult for me. And don't get me wrong, I do struggle and some things are very, very difficult for me. But once you delve under this like layer of disability, there's so much more to me. There's so much that I have to offer. I'm so, you know, I don't want to list like good traits about myself and be a total narcissist, but I am trying to accept that like there's good things about me. I do need to accept that there's good things about me, and that I have good traits and values as a person, and so on and so forth. But so many people don't get to see them in me, and I think this is the case for a lot of autistic people. We don't feel like we're truly seen, because we have this top layer of like society not accepting us and having to mask and struggling with things. So people don't take the time to see how good we can be at things, and how much we can care about things, and how much passion and creativity we can bring. And that's very much why I think that it's society that disables me, because I think this top layer of disability that I've suddenly made up, I don't think it's like my autism. I don't think it's my autistic traits. I think it's like the barrier of society not accepting me enough to be able to show the good parts of myself, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I think that's the best way of describing how I see it. And it's not that hard to just make a few accommodations to make things easier for people. I'm not really entirely sure I've explained things the way they are in my brain, if you get what I mean. I think I've done a relatively good job of putting forth my opinion, and I'd love it if you put forth yours. I've been really enjoying some of the comments you guys have been leaving me. I've gotten some really like thought-provoking and interesting and just like lovely comments lately, and I'm still really struggling to reply to them all. Like, not because I haven't got the time. I read them all like 4 times. I more than have the time to reply to them. I just so often don't have the mental energy or lack of anxiety. But I'm getting there. And I really appreciate every comment, whether I answer it or not. It's really lovely of you all. And for this video especially, I would really love to hear people's opinions on this. And I think it'll be really important for people watching to be able to read other people's opinions on this topic, because it is such a personal thing. I think probably every neurodivergent person, whether they're autistic or not, will have some sort of opinion on this one. And I would like to keep it very everyone's opinion's their opinion, you know, don't be an arsehole to anyone because you don't agree with it. Oh yeah, and also the last few videos, I forgot to ask anyone to like and subscribe. So if you could do that, that'd be really nice. So a bunch of you still liked them, so that was lovely that I didn't have to prompt you to do it. That was nice. But I also probably should because everyone else on YouTube does it, and I'm like, is that what I need to do now? So please do like and subscribe if you liked my video, if you want to see more. This series will have at least 10 episodes, I'm thinking, and I might continue it for longer, I really don't know. Let's just see how things go. So I hope you have a nice morning, afternoon, evening, night, day, month, I don't know. I just hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in a few days.